Morning, everyone. Can you able to hear me? Voice is clear, audible. Okay. Thanks for your response. Before we start today's session, just we'll recap what we have discussed yesterday. So, what we discussed yesterday in the MCSE session? Yes, WDS. So, WDS is basically used for what? Installing the OS or deploying the OS in multiple machines through the network method. Yes. So, we discussed that how to deploy the OS remotely. Yes, by using the service called WDS. So this was related with yesterday's session. Now, only two topics are remaining in our course. That is, one is VPN. The other one is what? Just a small topic, backup and restore. So today I'll take what? VPN. And after that we'll start with the Linux session. Okay. So basically, whether we use this VPN service, where we use this VPN service, what is VPN stands for? Yes, VPN stands for what? Virtual Private Network. Where we use this? Where we use this VPN? Yes. Where we will use this VPN? Yes, remote login means when we want to access our private network from anywhere using the public IP, that is the internet, to access our private resources, we need to use what? VPN. So I repeat once again, virtual private network basically is a service through which we can log into our private network from public network, that is the internet, to access the resources of the our local area network. That is the use of the private network. So we can access the resources as well as we can log in from anywhere to our private network and can access the resources of our private network. So there, and even you can take the best example nowadays, like people are working from home. How they are working? They are working directly on their local servers with the help of what? VPN. Instead of going to the office, you can work from home with the help of which service? Virtual private. Today we'll see how to configure this service through which our employees or our users can able to log in from anywhere and log into where? To our private network. You can access the resources as if they are present in the private network. So that is been done with the help of the public network, means through the internet. Okay. So to access from anywhere means we should have the connectivity. So physically we cannot have the wire. So we'll use what for connecting? Internet. With the help of the public network or internet, we can connect to our private network to access the resources and services. And we can also remotely log in by using what? VPN from anywhere. So that as if we are working from the private network by sitting inside our private network. So that is possible through a service called VPN. So today we are going to discuss what? VPN. So as I told you, VPN stands for what? Virtual Private Network. So how this VPN allow us to log in from anywhere to our private network? We'll see remote login. Today our session is about VPN, which stands for Virtual Private Network. So almost all topics are completed. This is remaining. One is this. So today I'll take this. So here VPN is configured here. by using a service called RAS. Here we are referring the VPN with what name here? RAS service. So VPN is configured by using RAS service. What is RAS here? Remote access service. So basically, remote access service is nothing but VPN, virtual private network. So VPN extend a private network across the shared or public network, such as the internet. So VPN extend private network, which can be across by using the public network, or it can be shared through the public network using the internet. Understood? So VPN is a service through which we can access our private network by using the public network like internet. So this is how the VPN structure will be there. See, suppose this is your private network. So this is, if you are inside here, you can able to log in as a domain user. So these are your client. This is your domain controller. Along with domain controller, you may have some other services like file server. Some server might be like ADC, something like this. This is your servers. So now you are sitting here inside the premises. You can log in as a domain user, and you can able to work normally. But imagine today you are not inside the premises or inside your office, but still you want to work from the home or you want to access the resources. You need to log in from your home as a domain user. Will it be possible from anywhere? Like he is not inside the premises. No, he is somewhere else. So he want to log in with his credential as a domain user, and you want to access the resources of this file server. Can it be possible? Yes. Directly it won't be done. For that, the administrator has to configure in the private network one server. That server is called VPN server, virtual private network server. So today our focus is what? How to configure this virtual private network server. So once we configure this, what happens? With the help of this VPN server, we can connect to our private network as if we are working from here. So we can connect to a private network from anywhere by using what? Internet. Use internet. So we should have the internet on this machine, and we'll log in as if we are inside the office. Same way. So but this will be getting connected to our VPN server through the internet. Then the VPN server will check whether this user should be allowed or not. Because when we configure the VPN server, which user should be allowed, we can give the entry as an administrator. Only admin can allow or only a particular user. Everybody cannot access unless until admin give the permission. So those users who has given the permission to access the resources of private network using the VPN server, those only can access. Everybody cannot access, remember. So once the user try to access, it will check whether this user is allowed or not. Once it allow, it will allow the traffic to pass and allow the resources to be accessed as if he is inside the office. So this is how the VPN server provide the service. But this VPN server provide the service using what? VPN allows the user to access our private resources from anywhere with the help of what? Internet. So VPN is nothing but it is a service through which we can access our private network with the help of the internet from anywhere. So did you understand the concept? Did you understand the concept? What is the VPN will do? Okay. Now, as an administrator, say suppose as an administrator you are trying to access this uh, private resources from anywhere. You are not inside the office, remember. So you are somewhere else. Now you want to access. So first your request will come to where? To the VPN server. So The VPN server, before it allow you to access the resources, that user you are trying to log in may be a domain user. You can log in from anywhere, but first it will pass through the VPN server. Now VPN server check whether this user is been allowed to access the resources of our private network or not. Once it is find this user is an authenticated user, it should be allowed. Then it will allow that user to get connected to the private resources, our private domain. Now the VPN server is allowing. So now it will pass the request to the domain controller. Now the domain controller will allow that users to, it will set one IP, private IP. It is get connected with what? Public IP. But the resources of the private network is access through what? Private IP. So the domain controller will now authorize the DHCP server to give the IP to this client. So one IP will be given back. The user can able to access the private resources as if he is present inside. So now VPN allow what? The private network to be accessed from anywhere by using the internet. So anybody cannot access, only authorized user can access. There is a security. So when anybody try to access the private network, the first it has to pass through the VPN server. In the VPN server, it will check that this is an authorized user or not. If it is not authorized user, it will not allow the request to pass beyond the VPN server. It will reject the packet there itself. So it cannot access. So once it find it is an authorized user, then it will pass on the request to the domain controller. Now domain controller will authorize the DHCP server to assign one IP so that user can access our private resources as if he's inside the domain. Understood the concept? What can you tell me just what I need to repeat from beginning or which specific point? So this slide you want to repeat. See, today we are discussing what? Today we are discussing VPN. VPN stands for what? VPN stands for what? Virtual Private Network. Actually, as the name indicates, Virtual Private Network means VPN is a service through which we can access our private network. We can access our private network, our domain from anywhere by using the internet. So suppose I told you this slide like this. So VPN is what? It's a service through which we can access our private network from public network by using the public network means using the internet. So here, this is your private network. So domain controller is there. Some file server means your users data will be stored here. Here ADC might be something like multiple servers are running. So if you are sitting here, which are connected to the switch, you can log in with the domain users and you can access your resources normally. But imagine today you are not went to the office. Now you are working from your home. Imagine. So you are a authorized user. So you are not trying to access these servers. So can it be done automatically? No. But administrator need to configure in the office one service. What is that service he has to configure? VPN server he has to maintain. So if you maintain as an administrator VPN server, your authorized users can log in from anywhere to your private resources. No, this user is a authorized user. So once he's trying to connect to your private network, what happens? The connectivity from your home or the place where you are sitting now to the VPN server will be established not through a cable because you cannot have the cable. So that will get connected through the internet. The internet should be connected to the VPN server as a client. Wherever you are sitting, you should have the internet. So now with the help of this internet, this client will get connected. This client will get connected to the client will get connected to the VPN server. Now, what the VPN server will see first, this user is a authenticated user or not. This user is being given permission to access the resources of private network or not. It will check. When we configure in the VPN server, we need to mention which are the should be allowed to access the VPN service. Only those users will be allowed to access. So suppose this user is allowed to VPN server, private network. Then the VPN servers check the name, its name and its password. Once it is verified, now it will pass the request to the domain controller. Now the domain controller will authorize the DHCP server to give an IP to this user so that that user will get connected, and the domain users will be logging from anywhere. And now once it is authorized, now what happened, this VPN client can access all the resources of our domain or private network as if he's sitting in our inside our domain. That actually is from outside, but it is authorized user. So this is VPN. So VPN server is basically a service through which a user can access our private resources from anywhere by using the internet. But for that, did you understand the concept now? Have you understood now? Okay, fine. Now our total focus will be today now how to configure. Once it is configured, any any user means that is authorized user can access these resources, our DC, our ADC, our data, everything can be accessed and can be placed around the world with the help of internet. Did you understood the concept? Now, like now, because of the lock from their house, how with the help of the VPN server. So today we'll see how we can configure the VPN server. The VPN server can be configured on router also on the operating system. We are focusing on how to configure the VPN server on operating system. Which operating system? Windows 2002 server operating system. Okay. Yes. So we don't have much theory today. Just the practical here. Now inside this, how it will be working, you can see. Once the user is there trying to log in with the help of internet, first it will come to the VPN server. So when this request is, it will see whether this user is authenticated or not. This is your tunnel. When this tunnel will be created, when you have the VPN server. So whenever you connect to the, your complete data will be going in a form of what? Tunnel. Logic. So it is very difficult for the hackers to capture your packets or the data. So now once it is found that user is authenticated user, it will pass the request to the domain controller. If the user is unauthorized, then it will drop the packet there itself in the VPN server. It will never proceed to the private network. Once we are imagining this is an authorized user, the request will pass from the VPN server to the domain controller. Now domain controller will allow whatever services the user want to use as if he is inside the domain present in the local network. Understood the concept? This you will get connected. How you will get connected to the VPN server to the internet? For that, the protocol which is called VPN tunneling protocol. So what is the protocol is used to get connected to the VPN server? So how you will get connected to the VPN server from your internet? For that, one protocol is there. So there are multiple protocol. We generally use which protocol? Point to point, PPT. So previously it was PPT, point to point. But now we are using mostly what? PPTP. What is PPTP? What is this PPTP? Point to point tunneling protocol. Previously it is used to be used what? All all three P. PPP means point to point protocol. But now we are using what? PPTP. PPTP means what? Point to point tunneling protocol, which is more secure compared to the PPP. Understood? Yes. So the connection from your machine as a VPN client to the VPN server is get established through PPTP protocol. Once it is authorized, then you can access your private network. Understood it? So with this, we are done with the theory part. Now our focus will be on how to configure the VPN server, because everything you are able to access. This part we already know, but we are focusing on this part today, how to configure the VPN server so that the user can access our private resources by sitting anywhere in the world with the help of internet. So that's why the name is what? Virtual Private Network, VPN. You are accessing the private network with the help of public network, means with the help of internet. So for that, which service has to be present? VPN server. Without VPN server, you cannot access the your private network resources from outside. If you want to access your private resources, you have to be present within the domain, within your premises. Then you can access your private resources. But your scenario is you want to access the private resources from outside the domain or from outside the network. Then for that, you need to maintain one server called VPN. So with the help of VPN server, we can access our private resources or our private server from anywhere by using the internet with the help of VPN server. So today we'll see how to configure the VPN server. Yes, there are many protocols used to connect to the VPN server. IPsec is also one of them, but generally we go with what? Point-to-point tunneling protocol. What somebody made a request. Already I explained you twice. Okay, I'll just go once more. Yeah. Today we are discussing what? VPN. VPN is configured by using a service called RAS. RAS means what? Remote access service. So here, VPN is a service through which we can connect to our private network from anywhere with the help of internet. So like you are working from home, so you need to be logged in with what? Your 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 name. Your name means your account has been created with what? From the domain machine. That is DC machine. So you can log in with your domain user if you are present within the private network. But now you are present your home or outside your office. Now you want to access, you want to log in with your domain name. Will it be possible by default? No. But that administrator need to configure one server called VPN server. Once the VPN server is configured, as a domain user, I can log in from anywhere, from outside the network also. I can log in. For that, I need to have on my machine internet. Then as an administrator, you need to configure one server in your domain, VPN server. So this VPN server is connected to the internet. Then your machine should also be connected with the internet. So this internet connection to the internet connection using the tunneling protocol like PPT tunneling protocol, you will get connected to a VPN server. Now, once you connected to VPN server, it will first check your authorized users to access the resources from outside or not. Once it is authorized, means admin has to do the entry while configuring the VPN server. Who should be allowed? So in that list, who should be allowed to the private network from outside? If your name is there, then that request will be passed by the VPN server to the domain controller. So once it reaches the request to the domain controller, now domain controller will authorize the DSCP to assign one private IP, private IP. Now you'll able to access your complete private network as if you are sitting inside the domain present in the office locally. So this is possible through what? VPN server. So this is what we have discussed till now. So our main focus is what? The user who is from anywhere in the world can access your private resources with the help of internet. Happen, we need to configure in our domain or in our network one server called VPN server. we are going to focus how to configure the VPN. Understood now? You can also, once you get the recording, you can also see same thing I have explained. Is don't keep your mic in. Please make your mic mute. No, somebody. I'll just check who has unmute his mic. Because it will disturb everybody, including you also. Fine. Now, can I proceed with the practical? So today we'll concentrate now how to. Those who will join a little bit late, please take a snapshot quickly about this. Only we discuss theory part. Next, this how it will be done means with the help of the internet. I'll be first connecting to the VPN server with the help of a protocol PTP. PPTP stands for point to point, but we are using mostly that. Once it gets connected, so it will see authentication will be done. Is it authorized user or not? If it is authorized user, it will pass the request to the domain controller. So once the request reaches the domain controller, now it is as if you are inside the office. You can able to access your resources as if you are present inside the your domain logical bound. So this is happening because of the VPN server. Our focus is what? How to configure this VPN server so that we can allow our user to access this private network from any part of the world using the connectivity will be done with the internet, but he can access our private resources with the help of public network, that is the internet, with the help of which server? VPN server. If VPN server is not there, you can get connected to the internet only to the public network, but not private network. But if you want to access with the help of public network, the private network, then you need to call VPN. If you are only the private network, there is no VPN server means you can get connected only to public network, never from public to private. And without VPN, you can get connected to private or public to public, but never from public to private or private to public. That is done with the help of VPN server. Understood now? What is the use of? Now, did you understood what is the use of VPN server? Okay. So I'll once again repeat this important point. If you want to get connected from private to private network, you need what? Lease line or the cable. Connectivity should be there. Then you can access. From public network to public network, if you want to connect, you need internet. But if you want to connect from private network to public or public to private, then you need compulsory one server called VPN server. Then only you can access the private network from public network. Understood the importance of VPN server? Yes. So now we'll focus on the practical, how to configure the VPN server. Now, important thing is how to configure the VPN server. So for today's practical, how many machines you need? Tell me. For today's practical, how many machines you need? So how many machines you need to do this practical VPN? Minimum. I'm getting different answer. I'm just waiting. So every day we are using mostly how many machines to do the practical? Two machines. So today you need how many machines to do this VPN practical? Minimum, I'm saying. Minimum you need not two machines. You need minimum three machines. How many machines you need to do the today's practical? minimum 3 machines. Without this, you can do the practical. Yes, one machine will be what? Your DC. One machine will be your VPN server. One machine should be your client. Yes, home machine. So I got one answer, very good answer. I don't know who is given. Is Ram. So minimum 3 machines you need. One DC, one VPN server, and one your VPN client machine. So you cannot do today's practical on 2 machines. It has to be minimum 3 machines. So how this setup will be there means I'll explain to you now. So before we proceed with the practical, you should have the concept, how it will be done. Then we'll do the practical. Yeah, this is our setup. I'll show you. So minimum how many machines you need required for today's practical. Just give me a second. Okay. Okay, we'll begin now. How the setup will be there. Minimum how many machines you require for today's practical? 3 machines. So this is your one of the machine. So the configuration of VPN server depends on the IP address. So you need to understand the IP address. If you given the IP address correctly, then the VPN server will work properly. Otherwise, you will get an error. So that's why I'll go slowly to explain you the setup. So to configure the VPN server, we need minimum how many machines for the VPN server concept? 3 machines. First, your machine. I'm calling this machine as a system one. This is my system one. So my system one machine, I'll be using like a DC. You know how to make a DC. Already we discussed this. So I'll be not going inside this. So this DC means we configure with what DS with the DNS and we promoted it with what option? Third option. So now this machine is working like a DC. So in this DC, what we have to do, important thing is what? You have to, in the DC, you need to do only one thing you need to do today. The DC, you have to give the permission in the DC. What you have to do, you will not configure the VPN server in DC. In DC machine, you will give the permission to the user who will access the VPN server. So in DC machine, what will be there? The DC machine contain what? Permission. In the DC machine, it will have the in the DC machine as an administrator, you need to mention the name of the user who will access the resources from outside. In the DC machine, will give the permission to the user, which user will access the user to access VPN server. VPN server. That entry will be there in the VPN server. Now, in this, most important thing is IP. So this machine DC IP, according to my setup, this is the machine IP address. This is my DC machine IP address. This is the DC machine IP address. After the IP address, I should also have what? Preferred DNS. So my preferred DNS should be same as my machine IP address, because domain controller the domain controller and the DNS is present in same machine. So up to this everybody knows. But today we need one more entry in this machine. That is the default gateway. What is the other one? Gateway IP address. Default gateway. So now what should be the default gateway IP address? This default gateway IP address should be the VPN server IP address. VPN server IP address. Now this is the machine. System 2 is very important for us today. This is system 2 machine, which will make today as what? VPN server. This machine will be what? This second machine will be our VPN server. So in this machine, very important, you should have what? Normally, how many LAN cards you will have in one machine? One LAN card. But today you will have two LAN cards. So this machine will have only one LAN card. This is your LAN card. But the VPN server, where you want to configure the VPN server on the machine, that machine should contain compulsory two LAN cards, because you will configure the VPN server by using two IPs. Two IPs should be there, means two LAN cards should be there. So one should be what? Your private. This should have the private IP, and this should be having public IP. So this will call as what? ETH0, and this is ETH1. Two LAN cards. So now on this LAN card, the IP should be what? Belonging to this private network. So here I am using 10 dot, means here also it should be 10 dot. So it should be something different IP compared to one. So some IP is there. Now it will ensure now connectivity from here to here. But now what about this gateway? What will be the IP? This. So this is the machine IP address. Now here there is no gateway, but here it should have the preferred DNS. Preferred DNS means now the DC machine IP address. So this is your DC machine IP address will be the, and here the gateway IP address should be what? The gateway IP address should be this machine IP address. So what is this machine IP address? Suppose I have given 10.2. Now the gateway IP address should be the VPN server IP address. But in VPN server you will have two IPs, remember, one private, one public. So private IP will be what here? So this machine will work, the VPN server will work like a router also. VPN server will also work like a router. That's why we need what? Two LAN cards. So this is your router IP address, first LAN card. So that should be the default gateway. Now the preferred DNS should be what? The DC machine IP address. You remember this. Now coming to the next Ethernet. That IP should be what? This should be connected to the internet. So I'm not having the internet, so I'll take another IP. So in the real time, this port is connected to the internet. From whom you have taken the internet to the router, it will connect to the internet router. So now here there is no need of preferred DNS, because it will be maintained by the ISP. So this is your public IP, internet connection IP, internet connection IP. So example, I'm taking that IP as what for configuring what? Because we are doing in our private network without internet. So I'll be assuming this IP as my internet IP. In the real time, you'll just connect this to the Wi-Fi router or something like this. You will connect one Wi-Fi router cable to this. So to get this machine the internet. Now this machine will work like a VPN server. This is important. Now coming to the system third. So this is nothing but my VPN client. This machine will work like a VPN client. So now here it should have only one LAN card. So I'll be getting connected with the help of internet. So this machine IP address should be internet, public IP. So this should have what? Public IP. So this public IP to public IP will get connected. Then here it will work like a VPN server, also like a router. It will connect with this. Then finally it will connect this. And here it will check this user is allowed to log in or not. If it is allowed, it will allow the resources to be accessed. This IP should be what? Something other than something like for our setup. So this is how the VPN server will be configured. So did you got some idea? If you have any doubt, please ask me, because once you understand the setup, then it will be easy for you to configure the VPN server. Yes, anybody have any doubts regarding this setup? Yes, understood the setup. Understood the setup. See what happens. For route means what? Now, here, how this machine will allow the communication from private to public. This is public IP. This is private IP. So here, this machine in the VPN server, we need to configure along VPN server router. Router means it will. This is a software router, which will router means which will enable the communication between different networks. So this is two network in same machine. So how it will proceed from this request to this request? So we need to configure in this what also router. That's what I told you. Understood now? One of the like private IP should be of the preferred DMS. Then only it will know the DC. No, we can prefer DNS. Yes, it should be same, not different. Because once the authorization is done, then the VPN should be able to connect to the DC. Uh, uh, did you understood, or shall I repeat once more? Because some people are getting a doubt like why router? Because in system two, how many LAN cards you have? Two LAN cards. Two LAN cards having different networks. So whether this machine, if it's not having the router, can it able to pass the request to the DC? No. So in VPN server, we need to make sure that we need to make sure that we need to make sure in the VPN server it is able to communicate between two different networks. So how when it can able to, because the VPN server is having two LAN cards having two different networks. So it cannot pass the request to the other machine unless until it is able to communicate with itself in the two networks. So how it is possible the communication between two different networks? So in the VPN server, we need to configure along with VPN server, we need to configure what? Router inside it. How to configure? We just need to enable the router with the VPN. So once the router is enabled routing, what will happen? It will ensure the communication between two different networks through the VPN server. So when we configure this VPN server, we'll enable what? Routing. So it will allow the communication between different networks through that VPN server. Clear with this now? Once you log in through the VPN server, you will get one IP, private IP through the what? DHCP server. It will assign in the background. Now you will be working with that. You will get connected to that. Physically, you cannot check them. but it will be connected once you get connected authorized by the VPN server. Once you get connected to the DC, then before you get connected to the DC will authorize the DHCP server. It is authorized user. You assign one private IP. So now in the background, private IP will be connected to the DHCP. Then while configuring the VPN server, will allocate one private IP, pool of IP. So from that, it will get one private IP and it will be working like a private network user. But it everything happens to the VPN server. What the concept now? So somebody is requested me the IP address. Okay. So remember, we need three machines today. One machine should be DC, other machine should be VPN server, other will be VPN client. But the most important machine for today is what? Not DC, the other machine on which we are configuring the VPN server. So VPN server will have two LAN cards. One LAN card will have the private IP, which is belonging to the same network as of our DC. And the public means in the real time that will be connected to the internet. So here I'm taking what? 11 dot network because I'm using what? Without internet. So I'm using the different IP 11.11. But in the real time, this will be what? You will be purchasing the internet and on the internet router, you will be you will be just connecting the port of the Wi-Fi router to this port, second port, public. Your machine will be having the internet. You will be connected with that. So the connection between you, which is sitting somewhere, will be get connected through the VPN server through this. Now in the VPN server, it will check whether this user is authorized or not. With the help of the DC, it will check. So once the DC says it is authorized, then it will pass the request to the DC. Then DC will authorize one public IP from that. Or in the VPN server only, it will be mentioned VPN private IP. So it will get connected. Now you can access everything as if you are inside the domain. Understood now? Shall I proceed with the practical? Yes? Everybody? Okay, fine. Thanks for your confirmation. Now we'll proceed with the practical. So how many machines we need now today? Three machines. So I'll go a little bit slowly. So using this setup, I'll configure the setup before you only. So I need three machines. So I have two virtual machines. So I'll use one machine as DC. The other machine I'll use like every day. I'm using like a client. I'll turn that machine as a VPN server. And my third machine, my physical machine, I'll use like a VPN client for today's practice. Okay. So let us see the setup now. Now this is my VPN machines. And everything I written in the notes which I shared with you, practical steps. So this is my server, DC server. I'll switch on the DC as well as one client machine. I'll make this client machine today as VPN server. So, and my third physical machine, the physical machine on this VM is installed. I'll use that machine as what? I'll use like a VPN client. So three machines I'll be using. Now before this machine get started, I'll show you the practical steps. Everything is dependent on IP. If you are clear with the IP, you can easily configure the VPN server. VPN server. Now to configure this VPN server, please see the setup here. So the first thing, the time zones should be all in the all VPN machine. First condition. Second, in DC machine, the IP address is what according to my setup 10.1, and and the preferred DNS should be also 10 dot. But gateway IP address will be the IP address of the VPN server, private network. This is the first thing you have to do. Then in the DC machine, to log in as the administrator, and you have to give the permission which user should log in into the login with the help of the VPN server. So you open the ADUC console. I'm giving the permission to administrator. Right click on the administrator, click on properties, select what, dial in, allow access, apply OK. So if you want other user to log in, same procedure you can use. Same step. Click on the user, go to the properties, select dial in, allow the users, apply this. So this is what the only this is the work in the DC machine. That's what I have written in the setup. In the DC machine, we have to log. Give only the permission to whom this VPN server should be allowed to log in. Understood with the first point? Now, second point. Now, everything today you have to do on second machine. In the second machine, which is called routing and remote access server. So we are configuring VPN server means also we are configuring router also. Router with VPN server it is. So that's why it is called RRAS. So I'm configuring VPN server as VPN server along with router. Okay. So how to configure this? This machine should have two LAN cards. So one IP will be 10.2 private IP. Preferred DNS should be this. Gateway is not required. But the other IP should be what? Public. No DNS, no. So before you configure the RAS server, what you have to do? You have to ping from your system 2 to the system 3. System 3 in my case is what? My physical machine. So my physical machine IP address should be what? System 3 11.2. So I should ping 11.1 to 11.2 or 11.2 to 11. After that, I can configure the VPN server. So I'll show you up to this, then I'll proceed. Okay. So you see here, same thing I'll do before you. So first I'm going to my DC machine. This is my DC machine now. I will log in as administrator. How do you understand this is DC machine? You know already. Go to the command prompt, type it what? Net space counts. So this is your public. Primary means DC machine. So what are the things you have to do in the DC machine? Check the IP address. First, everything is based on IP address. So go to this machine, network icon, right click, properties. Now go to the change setting. Then click on here, select this LAN card. Then go to the properties, IP version 4. Now this machine IP is 10 dot preferred, but we have to give today what? Gateway IP address. Now gateway IP address should be the IP address of the VPN server. So that is I'm assigning as 2. So this is what you have to do, extra thing. Clear everybody? Now this is the setting we have to do in DC machine. Now after this I should allow the user who should access the I should mention the name of the user who should access the VPN server. So for that, what should I do now? Go to the ADUC console because the usernames will be there in the ADUC. So I'll go to the ADUC console from the tools, ADUC console. Suppose the administrator should log in from anywhere. So I'll select here administrator, select the administrator, right click, then go to the properties. Now here, can you find here one tab called dial in? Click on dial in. Now allow. Who should be allowed? Here, allow the access. You just check here what? Allow the access. And say what? Apply. Okay. Now you want to allow, so suppose user 2 also. Select the user 2. Same thing. Properties. To the dial in. Then say here what? Allow the access. Apply. Okay. Same thing you can find. I have written in the notes. Here, first machine. I'm going to the first machine. Everything is same here. First, I kept the IP address same as it is. Then I went to the dialing permission, ADC console, select the user, allow access, apply OK. I think first step, alternate DNS is not required because if you are maintaining the backup DNS server, then you require. In the real time, you will give alternate. If this main DC get down, then preferred DNS, if it's not working, means it will go to the alternate DNS. In the real time, it will be there. But in my setup, I'm not maintaining the slave DNS server. So I'm not given the alternate DNS. Understood, Ram? Okay. So I hope first machine is clear to everybody. We don't have to do much in the first machine. So I hope everybody understood the first machine concept up to first machine. Yes. Now let us proceed to the second machine. Everything has to be done in the second machine. Now second machine should have how many LAN cards? How many LAN cards should be there? Two LAN cards. So but when I create my second machine, how many LAN card I have? When I create this virtual machine, second machine, how many LAN card I have? Only one. So how I'll get the second LAN card? So if it is your physical machine, you can connect one external LAN card and connect it. But here how you'll do? You can do it through virtually also. I'll show you how to get another LAN card. So please see the practical, I'll show you. So now how to get the other LAN card, I'll show you. So first I'll open my second machine, that is my system 2. Now this is my system 2. I need to log in as an administrator. Now it should have two LAN cards, but I will have only one LAN card. So I should get another LAN card. How to get the other LAN card? Through the VMware, I'll show you. So now remember, this is my second machine, system 2. You can see here. How to check the system name? Go to the computer. You can find my system name is this system 2. Now I want to assign two IPs, one private, one public. But I have how many LAN cards I can see here? Only one LAN card. But I need two LAN cards. I need two LAN cards. So how to get the two LAN card means, all of you see here, even when you get the recording of this session, you can repeat any number of times. So just I'm showing you. Select the OS, right click on the OS where you want the second LAN card. Go to the settings. Go to the settings. So the LAN card will be available from this. LAN card will be available from this, which is called network adapter. So select this. Now, can you find here below the option called add? Can you find the option called below add? Yes. Click on the add. Now here you go to the network adapter. Click on the network adapter. Then say finish. So one LAN card will be created for you. Now you can see it. So what name you have given to this? Suppose VMnet2. So my DC machine and the first name should be matched, but this name should be different because in two machine I cannot have same name. So instead of NAT, we have to use here what? Custom. This is also VMnet2. So I should not use now VMnet2. So I should use some other name. So I'm going with what? Say suppose one name called VMnet8. You use this name and this name different. Now say apply. Okay. Now you have these two different names. But in the DC, this is my DC. The DC name should be same. So in the client machine, first LAN card name is what? VMnet2. So this name will be also what? VMnet2. How you will see? Go to the setting. Here you have one LAN card. So my DC machine name is what? VMnet2. So in the client also, my first machine name should be what? My first machine name should be what? VMnet2 only. So this will get same. But the other LAN card, this is my public IP. So I should keep some other name. Any name you can use. I'm using here what? VMnet 3, 4, anything, but not 2. Clear? Understood everybody now? Is it clear to everybody? Yes, I'm getting the good response. Thanks for your response. Now we'll apply the IP. So as per the settings, I shown you the diagram. Now you go to the LAN cards now, network LAN card. Now here, go to the same, change adapter setting. Now how many LAN cards you find now? Two. So in one LAN card, you need to give the private IP. In other LAN card, you have to give the public IP. Okay. So now I'll give this IPs. So here, what should be the IP address? 10 dot. Now I'm using the IP address, manual static IP. So this IP should be what? 10 dot 0 dot 0 dot 2 other than 1. Then subnet mask. Now not required here, but preferred DNS. Preferred DNS should be the DC machine IP address. So this is the first LAN card IP address. Over. Just disable and enable, just like a refresh. Now go to this second LAN card. Here you need to apply the, in real time this will be directly connected to the internet, but here we don't are working with the internet, we are using in our private network like internet this. So we'll apply public IP. So now this I'll assign one public IP, that is 11.0.0.1. Subnet mask will be this. I'm not giving any default gateway preferred DNS because everything will be done by the ISP. So we need to leave it as it is. Just go to the OK. So this is your private network. Now this also, sorry, public network. Just you disable and enable. Now this machine is having two LAN cards. We have given the IP address as per our requirement. Now this machine need to be made as a VPN server. So everything has to be done today in this machine. So how to proceed now next you can find in the practical step. So I got now two LAN cards. So now one machine LAN card is what? VMnet2 I given preferred DNS. Now another machine IP address is what? Public IP. So I've given VMnet2 here. Now no preferred DNS. Up to this everybody understood. Now I need to go to the third machine. In my case, my third machine is my physical machine. So now that physical machine IP address should be what? 11.11.2, because this is public to public means internet. In the real time, we don't have to give because internet will get connected. So here we need to make sure that my client machine is able to ping to the public network. It will not communicate to the 10 dot. Remember, after you configure the VPN, it will communicate with 10 dot network. Now you need to ensure that it is communicating with, third machine is communicating with second machine public IP. It will not communicate with private. At least you should communicate with the public. Then you can proceed with the configuration of VPN server. So I'll show you that. Now I'm going to the my third machine. My third machine is what? My third machine is what? VPN server. So now let me go to my third machine. Now this is my physical machines here on which I am using this. Now this is my third machine. Properties. Now here change adapter setting. Now here one Ethernet is there. One Ethernet is there. Now here you can also do through the VPN connection. Now here, what is this here? Go to the properties, then 4, version 4, go to this. So now here, this is working for my internet, my real-time Ethernet. Now I want to create one Ethernet for the VPN purpose. So I'll create it. I given here what is the IP? 7.2. So now suppose I want to remove this and I create one LAN card for the VPN purpose. How to create? I'll show you. So you go to the any machine, either DC or any machine. How to create another LAN card on physical machine? I'll show you. So just what you need to do, go to your DC machine or any machine. When you go to this machine, you have what? Go to the VMware. On that, you can find here what? VMware edit. Can you find the edit? This is I'm creating one card on the physical machine. So that will do through the VPN. Oh, sorry, through the virtual machine. So for that, our system 1, system 2 is installed on VMware. So you go to the either system 1 or system 2. Go to the edit option. You can see here on the VMware edit option. You click on edit. And here you can find what? Virtual network editor. Then you click on what? Virtual network editor. Now here you go to the after this change setting. Go to the what? Change setting. Now after going to the change setting, you click on what? Yes. Now, after this, what will happen? The machine will get open. Now here, can you find here? Already this was created. So now here you want to add one more. If you want to remove the existing one, you can use this option, remove the network. I'm removing the network now, previously which I created. Now I'm adding a new one. Add. So here I can give some name as per my requirement. Then you say what? Okay. So one new network will be created in the physical machine. It will be created on new physical machine. Click on what? Type. Okay. Or you can say okay. Once it is done, you can see there the physical machine one new LAN card will be created. Now I'll go to my physical machine now. Can you find one here? New LAN card is appeared. I can make this machine now as what? A client. So now here I'll give the IP address. Select this and properties and go to the IP version 4. Now here I'll give some IP address. Static IP address. So here it has taken one private IP. I'll give it public IP. Static manually. So now here I'll be mentioning this IP as what? 11.0.0.2 because already one I assigned. Then leave this. If you want, you can give this preferred DNS as 10.1. Nothing will happen. If you don't give also, nothing will happen. If you give also, no problem. Now, you just disable and enable it. Gateway is not needed, but the gateway will be taken care by the ISP. This is ISP connection. So now what will happen? You try now communicate from the third machine. That is my physical machine. You try to the from the physical machine. You try to the VPN server with public IP. So this is my 11.2. So it should communicate with 11.1. Then only you can proceed with the VPN server. So it is not communicating means you need to just wait. It's not communicating. let me just go to the second machine. The second machine. Go to the change adapter setting. 11.1 I given 11.2. Check it. 11.1. Style disable and enable once more. Firewall should be off. In this machine, the firewall is on. So I need to make it off. Let me go to my physical machine. Check now. And I'll go to the command prompt. Let us ping to the 7.1 again. Now it is communicating. So now the communication is there from the 11.2 to 11.1. This is my self IP 11.2. It's communicating to self machine. It is also communicating to the my VPN server, public IP, but it will not communicate with the 10. Networks here. Another IP on the VPN server is 10.2. It will not communicate. Once I configure the VPN server, then only it will communicate. Here it will not communicate. Understood? So now we will begin the practical of VPN server. So once you configure, it will communicate. Up to this, everybody is understood? Yes. See, this practical is very important. That's why I'm going very slowly. Even if the time is going fast, I'm going slowly because I want to make sure that everybody understand this practical. See, this is we are doing in the private network. So for the private network, this should be firewall will be off. So this is internal, but in the real time, you will have a separate device called firewall. Like your Cisco firewall, Juniper firewall, so many are there. In the real time, all your traffic will be coming and going through the physical firewall. But we are doing it for our private network. So within our operating system, the firewall should be off. But your physical firewall should be on. Remember this. Understood? If my operating system firewall is on, means it will not allow me other machine to get communicated. So we are allowing our private network. So that's why our operating system firewall should be off, but your physical firewall should be on. Okay. Yes. In real time also, our internal devices will be firewall will be off because we want to allow our private users, not public users. So for public users, that physical firewall will take care of. Okay. So now I'm proceeding with what? The VPN server. Now, how do we configure now the VPN? So now you can see the steps. So up to this we have done. Now we are proceeding the configuration of VPN server. So how to configure the VPN server now? You need to log in as an administrator, not local administrator, domain administrator. See, log in as in system 2 as a domain administrator. Open the server manager console. Click on add roles and features. We have to add one service. Which service we have to install for VPN server? RAS. So check what, click next time 33 and check what remote access. So check the box remote access, then click on add features, web server. Also get checked, then click on the next 3 times. Then routing also should be enabled. That's why it is called RRAS. Routing with VPN. Both we are doing in same machine. Remember. So when you check this box routing, it means now two different networks will be communicating. Now this is the way to install the RAS service. So with RAS service now we can make the configuration of the VPN server. So right click on the system to open the RAS server from the tools, then right click on the system like system to, then click on configure and enable the routing. Then select the third option. What is that? Virtual private network and router. Now select here what? Specified range. Now you have to select here what? 11 dot network. Then click on new. Click on what? New. Then start IP address. Now you are configuring in the VPN server what? The public private IP. So now once it is authorized, it will assign from this range one of the IP to the private use VPN client. This will work like a DSCP now. Now next finish. Now what will happen? You go to the system 3 after this configuration. After this configuration, go to the PC. Then you should able to communicate with what now? You should able to communicate with what now? 10.1. Then you need 10.1 still will not communicate after this because you have to do some settings in the VPN client. When first time you connect, the administrator will tell you what are the settings. He will set you or he will tell you. You have to do as a client. So go to the VPN connection now in the third machine. Click on the right click on the network icon. Go to the properties. Then click on new setup new connection. Click on set. Select what? Connect to workplace. Use my internet or VPN connection. Click on I'll set the internet connection later. Then internet address. That is the VPN server IP address. Click on VPN connection. Then click on search. Click on connect. It will connect. Now after this you can able to access. Now I'll show you. I'll show you the practical. So now everything has to be done from the other machine. That is my second machine. See, I'm in this machine, second machine. In this second machine, now the 11 dot is communicating, but we want 10 dot to communicate. So private network should be access. So you need to access to install one service. This service RAS with routing. RAS with routing. So for that, what you have to do? Click on add roles and features. Click on next three times. One, two, three. Now you need to check here the which box remote access. Can you see here remote access? Then add features. So that is got selected here. Next, next. Now you need to select here also what? Routing. Then next, next, next. Now install. So here it is what now? VPN server with router. Both things it will work. 1 minute. The connection service getting installed. So once this service get installed, what you have to do to configure the VPN server? How do you configure it? Here it is written. After installing the service, what you have to do? Open the RRS from the tools, then right click on your system name, click on configure, enable the routing, select the third option, that is virtual private network and router specified. Select the 11 network, then click on the give the range. Now new you give the IP address to the DSC. So this will be doing now. So now I think this service might have installed now. So let me go to my second system. Now let me close it. Now I'll go to the tools. Now I can find here what routing and remote access. Now you can find here your system. Right click, new, configure and enable the routing. Then next. So here, which option I need to select here? Which option I need to select here? I told you. Third option. What is our here? Private network and NAT. Both. The third option we have to select. Then go to here. Which one? Next. Now here we communication with 10 dot. But through whom? This network. So select here public network. Now you give what? Specified range. Now you can mention once the authentication is done, it will allow what? This IP it will be assigning. So 10 dot IPs you can give. You can give any range. It should be the private IPs. Okay. Now next. Next. Now here it is what in asking next. Finish. Now the service got installed. So you here what port numbers? Right click on the port numbers. Then go to the properties. Go to the properties. Here we are using which protocol? Which protocol we are using for accessing? So you select here what? We are using which protocol? Point-to-point tunneling protocol. Point-to-point tunneling protocol. Okay. done now. And with this, our server configuration is done. Now everything has to be done from the everything has to be done from the client part now. Done everything. Now we'll the client machine. My client machine is what? My physical machine. Now, up to this, everything is done. Now we have to create the VPN connection from the third machine. That is my third machine is my physical machine. Already I shown you how to create a LAN card. I given the IP address also. Now you ping to the first machine, that is DC machine. It will not communicate because we have not done the VPN connection. So first time we need to do the VPN connection. So how we'll do the first time when you log in, you have to do the VPN connection. How do you connect the VPN connection means right click on the network icon, go to the properties, click on what? So click on what? Next option. What is the next option I have? Pending the part. So here click on property, set up new connection, click on connect workplace, internet, then I'll set the internet connection, then internet server, RAS server IP address, click on create VPN connection. So it should click on connect and it should ask for the administrator username and firewall should be off. Now verification. Now you ping to the 10.1, it should communicate. So now everything will be done from the client machine. Now I'll show you the client machine part. Now see here. I'm in the my physical machine. So first you go to the command prompt. Now you try to ping to our DC machine because private network means it should communicate with what? The 10.1. It's not communicating still because VPN is not configured. VPN server is ready, but some settings has to be done by the user first time. It will not communicate even with the 10.2 here. It is not communicating. So we need to make certain settings in the client machine, VPN client machine. And remember, this has to be done first time, not always. So let me show you what you have to do. Now see here. Now let me go to the client machine. This is my DC. So network icon, right click, then properties. Now click on the properties. After that, what you have to do? Select a new connection. Can you find here? Set up a new connection. Then here you click on this. Then what is there here now? Connect to a workplace. After that, what you have to do? Click to a workplace. Then next. Now it is saying what? I'll use the no. I'll use the existing connection. No, I'll not use the. I'll create a new connection. Next. Then use my internet. Use my internet. Then then here internet IP address means whose IP address? Our server IP address, VPN server. My VPN server is there on what? Now I'm creating one connection. Now click on what? Create. So one new connection will be created. Now the new connection is been connected. How do you check it that? Now go to your change adapter setting. Now can you find here your new VPN connection? This is my new VPN connection. This was the old one. Now this is VPN connection too. Now select that VPN connection, right click, then connect. Now connect. It is ask the username. So whom I am given the permission? Administrator. So administrator @zoom.com. I given to user 2 also. Same thing. User2 @zoom.com. What is the password I gave? That I need to give. So once authentication is done, it should be get connected. Now it is time to get connected to the VPN server.
Agent 007
అంత జాగ్రత్త లేడు అంత నీళ్ళు ఉన్నాయి తెలుసా
నేనేం చేయాలి మీ వల్ల
జరుగు కాందే
internet issue came, just re-logging. Yes, can you able to hear me now, everybody? There was an internet problem, so I just need to log out and log in again. I got the internet back. Can you able to hear me, everyone now? Everybody can able to hear? Sorry for that inconvenience. There was internet connection problem. Okay. So did you understood the concept of the VPN? It's clear to everyone. I tried my level best to go as slow as possible and try to make sure the concept clear. So I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay. So can we proceed to the next concept for today? I've shown you, the client part configuration I shown you. My voice is audible at that time. Connection was once the connection is established, you can able to communicate. I was able to ping with what from the client machine to the server. Okay. So you want me to do once again? So I'll just show you the connection. I'll not connect it. Okay. So I was using this. Yes, I was using this part. Go to the new. Then here, what connect to a workplace. Next, already this connection was established like this. So I want new one means you can do like this. New here. Here it will ask you new private connection. Here I was giving what one IP like 10.0.0.1. Then create. So one new connection will be created. So that you can find by going to your change setting. Now you find one more new connections here. Already one was there. Second this was connected. Now this. How to do? Connect. Then it will ask for what? Username and password. So here I was using this. Right click, connect. Then you give the authentication username and password. So if it is get connected, you can able to ping with that. If it is not getting connected, I said you can do certain things like this. If it is not getting connected, go to this properties, select to the security, and this should be checked here. This one should be there. Microsoft chat version. Then it will get connected. After this, you can able to ping to the 10 dot network. Okay. So I disconnected that connection because it was disturbing my internet. So it may not ping now. If I say connect, it will ping. Again, my connection with the internet might be lost. Okay. So just you can ping. You can able to get it. This is the process. Yeah, understood? Yes. With the VPN Wi-Fi connection got lost. That's why I get a problem. Understood now? That's why I'm not showing once again connect. Otherwise, again I'll lose the connection. Everybody is clear with this? Okay. So now, like you, most of the people agreed yesterday that today's session will be lengthy. There will be no problem. So for VPN, it almost took our full session. but we cannot lag behind. So I'll take at least half an hour today, the Linux part. Okay. Yes, everybody agreed for that? No, yesterday. So shall we proceed? If you have very important work or any urgent work, you can disconnect with the help of the recording. You can able to understand. But I should take the today session at least half an hour for the Linux. So yesterday also I took the Linux session, but I stopped after the installation. Now today I'll show you what the structure of the Linux operating system. Okay. Now with this our only small one topic is pending in the MCSE, that is how to take the complete backup of the machine. That I'll show you tomorrow. How to take the backup and restore. Okay. It will be tomorrow session. And from Monday, tomorrow mostly one small topic of this and complete session of Linux. And Monday completely Linux, no MCS. Okay. Now coming to the today's session, we'll discuss now what Linux. Now we'll discuss about the Linux. So I stopped. Yesterday I stopped after the installation. I put it in the suspended mode. From there only I'll on the machine. I'm just switching off my Windows machine so that I can switch to the Linux. So yesterday we installed this machine. Next operating system. So I put it in the suspended mode. So from where we put from same it will start now. Resume the machine. So now see, so from there it is starting. So now while this installation is getting completed, I'll show you in Linux the structure of the Linux operating system. If you understand that structure, you will understand the Linux. So what is our main topic for today in Linux? We will try to understand the Linux structure, Linux operating system structure. So first of all, certain points you have to remember. In Linux, there is no drive letter. Like when we install the Windows OS, it get installed on C drive. But when you install the Linux OS, it will get installed on a directory. Which directory? Slash. So here slash is similar to like C drive. So there is no drive here. Only directories will be there. So here how many main directories there? Only one main directory. And others is what? Subdirectory. So to understand the structure of the Linux operating system, we will use what? A topic called FHS, which stands for File System Hierarchy Standard. Okay. So here, this structure you can understand. This is the structure of the Linux. If you understand this, you will understand the Linux. So please remember here, first directory is called the slash. So slash is a directory. In this, if you are clear with this first, second, third, this 1, 2, 3, you will understand the Linux. If you are confused about this means, you will be always confused. Remaining is very easy. Only these first three are little bit confusing. If you understand this, you will understand the Linux. So first, you remember slash is called the directory. And what is the name given to it? So it is similar to C drive. So when we install the Windows OS, it will install on C drive. Whereas when we install the Linux OS, it will get installed on slash. So slash is similar to C drive, but it is not a drive. It is a directory. And these are all subdirectories. How to read this name? You should never say this is a root or home. You should read how it is. Anybody? Yes, that is the answer. Right, Ram. You should read it is a subdirectory, so it is a part of slash. So when you read, you should not say root or home. You should say slash root, slash home, slash boot. Okay. So first we'll discuss this slash directory. So slash is the main directory, which is called the root directory. Please remember, root is different, root directory is different. When I say only root, means it is an administrator. So you can take a snapshot of this. there is not a single drive will be there in Linux, only directory. Yes, all are folders. Here, this is a slash is a main folder, and remaining are as per the structure. They are all subfolders. So when you read their name, you need to say slash before their name. Here, first is what? Slash. Next, remaining are subfolder. So we are now discussing about the slash. So slash is called the root directory. Remember, root is different. When somebody says in Linux only root means who is root in Linux? Who is root in Linux? Super user, yes, administrator. Administrator name, yes, very nice. So when we say only root means we are talking about a user. But when we say about slash, it is a directory. So here slash is called the root directory, where it is present at the top of the structure. And all the directories are placed under it. That's why when you read the name, you should say slash before the name for the subdirectories. As per the operating system structure, I'm saying, not everywhere. Here in the structure, I'm saying. Slash is called the root directory. That root directory contains the Linux operating system in the form of many subdirectories. Like Windows, when you install the Windows OS will be there on C drive. Inside the C drive, you have many folders like Windows, System32, drivers, etc, program file, users. Under users, again you have subfolders, administrator, user. Similar to that, you have here subfolders. Okay, understood the first directory? So slash is a root directory which is present at the top of the structure, and all the directories are placed under it. So this slash directory contain the Linux operating system in the form of many subdirectories. One of the subdirectories what? Slash root. Slash root is called the home directory of root user. So this is called the home directory. Why it is called the home directory of root user? Because who is root in Linux? Administrator. So whenever administrator, that is root, login, by default it will log into which location? Which location it will log in by default? Slash root. That's why slash root is called the home directory of root user. When you create a folder, we will not see in the form of icons. You will see just in the form of just a directory, not in the form of icons. What is that your question? Can you just write your question in the chat? Because you mentioned what is that, sir? Where you see in root, these are what subdirectories. These are what subdirectories. So these are subdirectories will be present inside the slash. Inside the slash. Like C drive contain many folder. Here slash contain many subfolder. These are subfolder. That's why when we read the name, we should say slash. So yesterday, while doing the installation, we created one separate folder for slash home, separate folder for slash boot, but we did not created this. So whether they will get created or they will not get created. Yes, you can. Yes, they will get created because when we install the Windows for OS, are you creating the folder separately like Windows, system, system32, drivers, program file, users? Are you creating? No, they will get created automatically. But what is the difference in Windows and Linux is this subfolder can be allocated separate partition like we did yesterday while allocating. So suppose if my slash home folder get corrupted, so only that partition which we made about 2 GB will get corrupted, not entire OS. But in the Windows, if one of the subfolder get corrupted or folder get corrupted, it will impact the complete operating system because everything is in a single drive, single partition. That's what the Linux OS is more stable and more secure than Windows because of its structure. Yes. So here, whichever subfolder is important, we can create a separate partition. So it will be a part of slash, but still it will have its own space, own partition. So if any problem occur, that problem will be limited or restricted to that partition without affecting the complete OS. That's why it is always recommended to install the OS, Linux OS on multiple partitions, which we cannot do on Windows OS. Understood now? So what is the slash here? Slash is the root directory which contains Linux OS in the form of many subdirectories. One of the subdirectories is what? Slash root. So slash root is something like it will act like a home directory of the root user. Why? Because whenever root user login, by default it login to which location? Slash root. So if suppose somebody asks you in Linux, as administrator, I created some files and folder where it will be stored by default. You can go to other location, but I'm saying when a Linux administrator login and create some files and folder where it will be stored default. I'm using the word default. Where it will be stored, who is admin in Linux? Root. So root created data will be stored where? In slash root. Don't say root. Root is a user. You get habit of saying slash root. So slash root is a home directory. And in Linux we'll use forward slash. In Windows we'll use backward slash. So what you have mentioned in the chat, no, backward slash, you have to use this slash, forward slash, like this. Yes, so it should be like this. Okay, so remember, admin created data means root user created data in Linux will be stored where? In slash root. Understood? So Linux OS will be there in slash, whereas the admin data, that is the root data, will be there in slash root. Next, slash home. Next, slash home. So except the administrator, all other users' data will be stored in slash home. So slash home is the home directory for all other users except root. Root, they have a separate home. For rest of them, slash home. So slash home is the home directory for all other users except root. Like in the old operating system, the user's data in the Windows used to be there in a folder called document and setting, but now it is there in the folder called users, not document and setting. So you please be remember in Linux the admin data is stored in slash root and rest of the users data will be stored in slash home. If you are clear with this, you can able to understand the Linux session. Is it clear to everyone? Slash contain OS. When I say only slash, that is called root. So root contain root directory. Sorry, not root. Slash means root directory contain Linux OS. Slash root contain root data. Who is root? Administrator data. And slash home contain all others users data. If you understand these three, you will understand rest of them very easily. I repeat once again, when we say I install the Linux OS means where it will install on the slash. Slash is a root directory. It is called root directory. Then root contain Linux OS in the form of many subdirectories. One of the important subdirectories is slash root. So slash root is the home directory of root user. It contains root user created data. That is root user created files and folder. Then except root, all other user created data and all other users information will be stored in slash home. So if somebody asks you how many users are there in Linux, how to check? You go to the slash home, you can see the names of the users. And when somebody says a particular user u1 is created some data, where the data will be stored, you go to the slash home. Under that you will find a user with a name u1. Click on that. Whatever data is created, he will be there. So remember, user data will be there in slash home. Administrator data will be there in slash root. Is it clear to everyone? Yes. Okay. If you understand this, you can understand the coming sessions of the Linux as well as the structure very easily. So I repeat once again, Linux OS, when we install, it will be there on slash. So slash is called root directory, which is similar to C drive. Slash is called root directory. It contains Linux OS in the form of many subdirectories. One of the subdirectories was slash root. So slash root is called the home directory of root user. Who is root? Administrator. So slash root contains root user created files and folder. So except root, all other user data or all other user information will be there in the slash home. So slash home is called the home directory for all other users except root. Root home directory is slash root. Rest of the user home directory is what? Slash home. Root data will be stored in slash root. All other user data will be stored in slash home. This is what you have to understand. Is it clear now, everyone? Yes. Next. Next folder. Next subfolder is what? Slash boot. So in Linux, the most important directory is what? Slash. After the slash, next important directory is slash root. First important, most important directory is what? Slash. Because the OS will be there. Next important directory in Linux is slash boot. That's why we created a separate partition. Mostly we work with users. So we created separate partition yesterday for home. Then separate partition for slash boot, because after slash the next important directory is slash boot, because this slash boot contain important things like the most important part of the Linux OS is called kernel. Kernel is the main part of the operating system, which is called the core or the brain or the heart of the operating system. So where the Linux kernel will be present in the Linux operating system? In the slash boot. So slash boot is a directory which contain Linux kernel, which is called the core or the brain or the heart of the operating system. Now, this slash boot contain, apart from kernel, it also contain bootable files and bootloader. What do you mean by bootloader? Bootloader is called as grub, GRUB, which stands for what? Grand bootloader. In simply, it is called bootloader. So, kernel, sorry, in slash boot, it slash boot directory contain, slash boot directory name is simply boot directory. So this boot directory contain what? Kernel, bootable files, and bootloader. So using these three things, what the boot directory role is, like I said you, slash contain OS, slash root contain root data, slash home contain users data. So slash boot directory contain kernel, bootable files, and bootloader. So using this, what the boot directory will do, it will do the booting process. What do you mean by booting process? Whenever we switch on the machine, the OS will be there in the hard disk, that is called secondary memory. So the OS has to be loaded from the secondary memory to the primary memory. Which is primary memory? RAM. Which is the primary memory? RAM. So who will load the OS when we switch on the machine from the hard disk to the RAM? This boot directory with the help of bootable files and bootloader. So booting process will be started by the bootloader, and it is done, booting is done through bootable file, and this thing is controlled and managed by the kernel. So using these three things, the boot directory will load the OS. Once it loaded, you will get the login username. You get the login screen. From there you can log in with the user. Understood now? Suppose if this directory get corrupted, boot directory, when you switch on the machine, you will get a black screen. On the monitor it will be displaying grub greater than. That error is called grub error. Means no user can log in, because you'll never get login screen. OS will be there, but the bootloader got corrupted. In that scenario, the solution is we need to go to the rescue mode. In Windows you have safe mode, in Linux you have rescue mode. Then you just need to insert the OS bootable DVD or bootable pen drive. Then reinstall just the boot directory, not entire OS, boot directory. Then once the boot directory get loaded, then again the OS will be loaded and you can get the login screen and you can work normally. Okay. Understood this boot directory work? Can I go to the next directory? Yes. Next is what? Next is what? Slash sbin. So we have not created this folder. Still it will get created. Like we are not creating the folders in the Windows when we installing they will get automatically. All OS folder will get created automatically in every OS. Same thing happens in Linux. But in Linux, what is the difference? Whichever subfolders are important, we can make that folder one separate partition. So it will be a part of slash, but still it will have its own size. So with this, they don't depend on the slash, first thing, for the size. And second thing, if any problem occurs to any one of the OS folder, so it will see the that folder belonging to which partition. That partition only will get affected without affecting the complete OS. This is the advantage with the Linux installation in multiple partition. Understood now? So we don't created the yes bin, but it will be created default because this is not as important compared to slash home or slash book. That's why we did not create it. So this folder contain what? The abbreviation for sbin is system binary. It contain what? The commands which can be used by only one user. Who is that one user? Root. So whatever space it needed to store these commands will be taken from the slash. So I repeat once again, sbin. Sbin stands for what? System binary. So it contain what? A list of commands which can be used by only one user. Who is that one user? Root user. So whatever commands present in the sbin folder can be used by only one user, that is root user. In other words, whatever commands available in sbin cannot be used by other user except root. So they have given one here two commands. Fdisk dump. So fdisk command is used to create the partition. Dump command is used to take the backup. So this command can be executed only by root user, not other user. Here etc means like this so many commands will be there. Etc not a command. Okay. So did you understood this folder? Yes, been everybody. So that I'll go to the next folder. Can I go to the next folder? Okay. Thanks for your confirmation. Now next subfolder name is what? Slash bin. So here, yes, bin stands for what? System binary. So bin stands for what? Binary. So this contain commands which can be used by all users. Yes, bin command can be used only by root, whereas the bin command can be used by all other users. Can be used by all other users. Okay. Okay, done. There are whatever commands available in the bin can be used by all users. Now my doubt is bin command and yes bin command will be same or different? Will be different. So now can bin command used by administrator? Can bin command used by administrator? Yes, admin can use any command, whereas the users can use only the commands which are present in bin, but they cannot use yes bin command. Okay? Yes. Next, USR. USR stands for what? Unix system resource. So this folder contain installed application. Like whenever we install any application in Windows, by default it get installed where all install application by default installs where in program file. So same way, whenever we install any application in Linux, so those application by default stores in a location called USR, which stands for Unix system resource. So USR is similar to what? Program file. So whenever we install any application, the installed application will be stored in Linux in a location called or in a subdirectory called /usr. So /usr is similar to program file in Windows. Understood? So if somebody asks you when I install the application in Linux, where that application will be stored means you should say in /usr. Yes. Next, /var contain what? Variable information means when the users log in, at what time they have logged in, what are the commands they have executed. So those type of user information will be present in the form of what? Logs that you can open or check with the monitoring tools. But the logs will be generated or created in the folder called var, variable information, user information. Means what are their activities they have done, that will be recorded in the form of logs. User created files and folder will be there in /home. But what are the things they have done will be recorded in the form of logs. That will be there in the var. User data will be there in /home, not in the var, remember. Their activities will be recorded in the form of logs. When they log in, when they log out, what command they have executed, those things. And if you have connected the printer, how many users they can print out today, how many are waiting in the queue, that also will be available in where. Next, our software information will be there in /usr install application, but our hardware information will be there in Linux in a separate folder called /dev. /dev full form devices. So it contain what? Hardware devices information. Like if I want to check my hard disk information, what is the total size of my hard disk? So in Linux, which folder I should go? /dev. /dev contain hardware devices. Whatever devices connected, internally connected my devices, information will be stored in a folder called /dev. Yes, something like a device manager. Okay. Now next, software information will be there in USR. Hardware information will be there in /dev. Then you have a separate folder called etc, which is called etc. So this contain configuration file. Means in Windows we have setup files. So when we install the application in Linux, it will have configuration file. Application get stored in USR, but that application create one file or it contain a file called configuration file. So that configuration file will be stored in a folder called /etc. So etc contain all configuration file in Linux. So these configuration files are similar to setup files. Next, OPT. OPT stands for what? Optional. This is an empty folder in which all our third-party installed application will be stored in OPT. Our inbuilt application, whichever is containing through the operating system which you install, that installed application of our application which are available through our OS will be stored in USR. But the application sometime when you want to install which may not be there with your OS, like some antivirus or some application which may not be there with your OS. So when for that you have to download from internet. For download, you have a separate folder like Windows download. In that you can download. But when you install the third-party application, it can be stored in a separate folder called /opt. So /opt is a folder called optional where third-party installed application will be stored. Inbuilt application will be stored in /usr. And apart from that, there is one more directory called media. What it is called? /media. There is no abbreviation for that. It's simply called media. So this is basically used. This subfolder is basically used like a mount point. Mount point means access point. Yes, this is the last slide. So this is used like an access point to access removable storage devices. Our in devices connected will be accessed from /dev. But if you connect some external storage devices like pen drive or the DVD, then that information you can access from /media. Suppose I connected pen drive and somebody asked me what is there inside pen drive, you see it. So I should go to the /media and from there I can see what is there inside the pen drive. So my removable storage devices information will be there in a folder called /media. Along with /opt/media, one more folder will be created with a name called /mnt. It is also empty directory. So this is about the structure of the Linux OS. Understood now? So overall, I'll just recap where what is stored, what type of data will be stored. So in the / it contain Linux OS, /root contain admin data, /home contain users data, /boot contain most important part of the OS is kernel. Kernel, bootable file, bootloader. It contain here. Through this, it will load the OS. Booting process is done with the help of Linux. Yes, bin contain admin commands which only admin can use, no other user. Bin contain users command which admin and users, all user can use. USR contain installed application. Where contain printer information and log files. Dev contain hardware devices information. etc contain configuration file. OPT contain third-party install application. Media contain removable storage devices information. So this is about this. Out of this, the main thing you have to remember is admin data will be here, user data will be here, install application will be here, and the OS will be here. These are the important. Now you got. Can you Now, did you got some idea about where exactly what data will be stored in Linux? Okay, I have seen that. I'll show you that slide. Just wait a minute. So now, did you got some idea where what data will be stored? Yes. So OS will be there on slash, admin data in slash root, user data in slash home. Boot file in bootloader will be there in boot directory through which booting will be done. Admin commands will be there in sbin. Users command will be there in bin. Install application will be there in USR. Where contain log files and printer information. Dev contain hardware devices information. etc contain configuration files. opt contain third party application. Somebody requested me the etc slide. You can take a snapshot of that. Configuration file means similar to setup file. Next, opt. Have you taken the slide snapshot of this etc? Next, this. Next, this. So with this, have you understood overall something like how or where what data will be stored? So with this knowledge, now we can able to work on the Linux operating system. Okay? So now I'll complete the yesterday part. So our installation was done. So once the installation is completed, how it will appear you can see now. I'll go to the VM now. See here, installation is completed. So it will ask for reboot. So just you need to click here on reboot. After reboot, installation is not completed. Still one step is there. That's why I'm asking you people just wait for a minute. You will get like this. One more screen. What it is saying? License not accepted. Without license, you cannot work on the operating system. Then how you will do? How you will overcome this result? There is no option called license accepted because it will be here only. So you need to click here only, license information. Then here you will have the option of accepting the license. Now after accepting the license, you click on done. Now you will find what here? Finish configuration. Now you can say forward. Now see here. In the Linux, you will never get the administrator name. Whichever user you have created, their name will appear, but never administrator name. So how to log in with the administrator? They give the category. So in the RHL 6 and 5, they used to give the category others. But now in 7, they have mentioned what category? Not listed. So if you want to log in as an administrator, click on not listed. Username should be what? Root. Then the password. I assigned yesterday one password called Red Hat. Now this is the way you will log in a Linux machine as an administrator. So now once you log in, you will get a desktop. So this is which desktop? Yesterday we have selected Genome. So this is your Genome desktop. Now here you will get first time when you log in with new user, you will get what? Welcome screen. Now it is asking you whether you have selected this option at the time of installation, language. If you want to change the language, you can change it. This is the last time it will ask you if you want to change your language. So now I'm comfortable with that means just click on next, next, start. Now after welcome screen, I'll help you. So just once the help screen is appearing, you just can close it. Now, can you apply the command from the desktop? No. You need to open the terminal. So to open the terminal, you have three options. You can click on the application. You can click on the application to open the terminal. This is one option. Or you can also use right click, open in terminal. You will get like this also the terminal from where you can apply the commands. Or from the keyboard, you can use Alt F2. Alt F2. You will get a window in that you can write your desktop name, genome-terminal. You can open the terminal. So I have a file. Which was previously our course used to be about 15 days Linux. So I have a file with this 15 days course. So I'll be sharing you this file in WhatsApp. I already have a WhatsApp now created. So in the WhatsApp, I'll be sending this file for the practical. So this is containing 15 days course. Now it has been reduced to suppose 1 week. You'll find more data, more practicals there. You can take it and practice it. I'll be sharing it with your WhatsApp. So whoever is not there in the WhatsApp, today time is already over. So tomorrow you can mention me. Whoever not received to them, I can send them. But in the WhatsApp group, who is there in the morning batch, I'll be sending after few minutes this practical. Okay. So thanks for your cooperation for extending half an hour more. So we'll stop for today this session here. So tomorrow we'll concentrate more on Linux because we have very small topic backup and restore. I'll show you within some minutes, maybe 10 minutes. Then we'll completely focus on Linux Saturday, Monday, and Tuesday. Okay. So that's it for today. Those who understood, you can leave for the session. But before you leave, from my side, because for your cooperation, and every day I'm repeating because the whole world is fighting that. So just take care yourself, stay safe. Thank you, everybody. We'll continue. Why you want to reduce the Linux class? Already we completed now Windows. You just, if you don't like Linux also, just listen to these sessions. It may help you just understanding the concept. Yes, most of the students don't show interest, so that's why they reduce it. But you should have some basic knowledge about other operating systems, so that's why they have kept it here. Okay. Already we have completed all the things important, whatever all the topics were there as per our syllabus. We have completed MCSE, so we have 2 days remaining. 3 days. We'll concentrate on this 3 days. It will not harm you. It will just benefit you. We can change the other desktop also, KDE. Other desktop name is what? KDE. For that you have to install that KDE and switch over. Yes, you can access. Once you able to configure the VPN, means when you are accessing the, just install one service called KDE. Then you can switch KDE. We can create the users also. How to do, I'll show you in the coming day session. I think you are more interested in Linux compared to others. Okay. What is the difference between Genome and KDE? I'll tell you, Genome contain less application, but it is more faster. KDE supports more application, but it is little bit slower. So if you type it in the Google, you'll get the difference. But the main one is this one. Okay. Some of you are showing interest in Linux. Okay. So is there any other doubt, or can I close this session now? Yes, you access the TC means you can access any other services because everything is dependent on that. Every service you can access.